The Yankees are giving me 3 months full pay for doing nothing.
Well, I did it for 3 years. What's another few months?
I'm really going to do something with these 3 months.
Like what?
I'm going to read a book. From beginning to end. In that order.
I've always wanted to do that.
I could learn to play golf.
You mean golf?
Golf! Frisbee golf, Jerry. Golf with a frisbee. This is going to be my time. Time to taste the fruits and let the juices drip down my chin. I proclaim this the Summer of George.
It is, in fact, Andy, the Summer of George. Jason Alexander went into the site of his former employer, the New York Yankees. This is not when he gave them cotton uniforms, and shoved a little bit. And Andy, Jason Alexander actually, if you take a step back, actually been pretty good. He had one blow up against the Athletics, but he gave up no runs this past outing, no runs the outing before that, and then no runs. I think only 2 runs the outing before that. The Astros might have a little something because they really needed him to go 6 innings yesterday, and he did it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Todd Callis said it best yesterday. What he did yesterday was earn himself another start. With the improving health of the Astros rotation, guys coming back, Jason Alexander has gone beyond not embarrassing himself for the team, but made himself a valuable option on a regular basis. It remains to be seen what that looks like going forward because, like I mentioned, and, spoiler alert, Christian Javier will be starting tonight. Spencer Arrighetti is back in the rotation. There is a world, I guess, where Lance McCullers doesn't have a blister, but who knows about that? Luis Garcia and JP France are on the way back as well. So there might not be starts available for a guy like Jason Alexander, but you don't have winning seasons without contributions like guys from Jason Alexander.
No, exactly. Jason Alexander shoved, and he did a great job. You cannot ask for more.
No, the Astros are going to, though, because he'll probably start in 5 days, but we'll see how that goes.
Right. Yeah, no, it was a pleasant turn of events. And I'll be honest, like at first I was like, okay, he gave up some really loud contact, but then he got through it. And that's not a cupcake lineup. The Yankees can't pitch, but they can hit. A good friend of the show, Emily Nyman, predicted that the Yankees would lose like 8-6. I think it's because she thought the Astros could hit. But then again, yesterday they did hit. So we feel worse. Go ahead.
I mean, to be fair to Emily, the Astros should have won all 3 games. They hit well enough to win all 3 games. It's just the thing we've seen all season in large quantities is the inability to hit with runners in scoring position. I believe I know we out-hit the Yankees on Friday, ended up winning the game, but it shouldn't have been that close, shouldn't have gone to extras. Had every opportunity in the world to win the Saturday game and just could not manage to push another run across with bases loaded, twice?
I want to say that there were at least 3 at-bats throughout the game with the runner on third and less than 2 outs, and they did not get them in.
Yeah. And then yesterday things finally clicked, and maybe, hopefully, we're about to get one of those stretches where things just start to click. Cam Smith even had a couple of hits this series, so good for him, because I don't think there's a person in the world who needed that double more than Cam Smith did yesterday. Took advantage of a bad call and then made Max Fried pay on the next pitch, I believe.
Well, look, here's the thing: is part of the series, I think, felt worse. I think if the Astros had come out of that series, winning the series like they did, but they'd won Friday and Saturday and lost yesterday, I don't think Astros fans would be worried. 2 bad starts in a row from Framber. I don't necessarily want to panic over Framber Valdez, but it's concerning because I do believe that, if Framber or Hunter, and Hunter looked much better Friday night, if they lose their effectiveness, that is the season. There is no covering that up.
Yeah, and the thing with Framber, I'm hoping that our new pitching coach, Carlos Correa, is going to be able to sit down and talk with him before his next start. The issue Saturday was obviously giving up 4 walks or 5 walks in his time pitching. 4 of those walks came in the same inning, I believe. 3 or 4. He couldn't get
walking in a run, which is just the worst.
Yeah, he couldn't get a curveball across. but he kept going to the curveball. And I understand the school of thought that, you throw your best pitch in those situations, but you also have to be mature enough to recognize when you don't have a pitch on a certain night. And that happens to every player. That happens to every pitcher who's ever pitched. Just some nights your best pitch isn't there and you've got to work with your secondary stuff. It takes Fromber too long to get to the point of realization, almost like he has to be taken off the mound into the dugout, have a talk, call his therapist, whatever it is he does, and then go back out and go, oh, I don't have a curveball tonight, so I'm going to have to work fastball and something else. And it's just frustrating as hell because he's not a rookie, but we're seeing a lot of the same stuff that he did as a rookie. So the thing that turned Fromber around prior to the 2022 season was Correa pulling him aside and said, cut the shit out.
Yeah, maybe.
You're a major leaguer. You're supposed to be here. The other side of it, Fromber might be frustrated with realizing that with Correa there is no contract money for him next year, so he's going to be looking for a new house. I don't know.
Maybe. But you know what? I will give this for Fromber for this particular start, because I do believe that the start in Boston was more frustrating because it was a mental breakdown in one inning, because he was great before and he was great afterward. I will give him credit for this one because he didn't have it and did his best to gut through it in a case where he knew, like, the Astros pitching depth is thin. There was no rescuing him from that start. He was going to have to eat 5 innings, and he did. So I give him a lot of credit there. I just hope that we're not looking at a situation of fatigue or something else that's going to actually have this be a full-on regression. Look, there is something to be said, I think, or at least for noticing that, he lost a game 3-2, and then he decided to question the defensive alignment, and since then has given up 10 or 11 runs. I don't know if there's a baseball karma thing happening there, but
we do not speak of the baseball gods directly. We honor their presence and acknowledge their power.
Right. But no, this is not a slam Fromber Valdez thing. The Astros wouldn't be where they are without Fromber Valdez. They wouldn't have won the World Series 2022 without Fromber. I've seen friends of mine, though, openly wonder how good he'll be with another pitching staff, with another set of pitching coaches, which we'll probably see next year. But again, like back to my original point, because he lost and Alexander won, it makes the series feel a little bit different, even though all we've been saying since the All-Star break is just win series. And by the way, the Astros have now done that twice back-to-back, once against the Yankees, which are really good, and then at the time, one of the hottest teams in baseball, not called the Milwaukee Brewers, the Miami Marlins. So if the Astros just keep this pace, they are going to pass the Mariners. I watched every inning of the Mariners games because I was on Mountain Time, so it was easier for me to watch. And they struggled. They did win 6 games against 6 bad teams, in which they struggled to win all of those. And if you look at the lineup, the Rays were pushing out there. There were at least 2 hitters on yesterday's game that had about a 450 OPS, not average, OPS. That was one of the worst lineups I've ever seen pushed out in a baseball game ever in my life.
Yeah, and kudos to the Mariners for taking advantage of the schedule as it comes to them. There's plenty of school of thought. If the Astros had done that a couple of different times this year, we'd be talking about worrying about a 4-game lead versus a half-game lead. It is what it is. The Astros, nothing has changed from when we talked Friday. The Astros still control their own destiny as far as everything goes in the American League. They just have to win games. We are to that point of the season, almost midway through August, where there are 50 games left, I believe.
Oh,
49.
Less than that. No, there's only 44 games left for the Astros.
You just have to win games.
This is nut cutting time.
And realistically, it'd be good to win 2/3 of those games. I don't think the Mariners can keep up with that. I don't know that the Astros can do that either, but nothing bad happened this weekend to the Astros situation outside of losing that game Saturday. And again, you had the opportunity to win it. That, to me, is a better situation than what we looked at the series in Boston the weekend prior, where we weren't in any of those games. And even though I think a couple were close, we weren't in those games. I don't know. We weren't in them mentally. nothing looked right. This was a team that hit the ball, didn't have the runs they probably should have for the amount of hits they had, pitched relatively well outside really of one inning, and took 2 or 3 from a Yankees team that is still very tough at home. I appreciate that Aaron Boone continues to think Anthony Volpe is a viable major league shortstop. I don't know why. I appreciate what was that, Cody Bellinger trying to throw the ball backwards Saturday or yesterday.
Stay
all
off
those
the drugs,
things
man.
working on. I don't know. I'm sure they drug test him, but my God, there's just the sleepy eyes. You can't. The bloodshot eyes, all that stuff going on. And then you literally pick up the ball, put it behind your ear, and roll it behind you, trying to throw home.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of shit on the baseball field. That was certainly something. It's always nice though when I guess that Jose Altuve is a good dad, but it's always nice when he goes and visits his stepsons and just kind of puts the wood to them and lays down a little old fashioned 1950s discipline. It was funny to me, and I think San Antonio Tim, good friend of the show, was watching, but both of us were seeing random, just Yankee fans have finally gotten it. They've finally given up. They're like, what's with the booing? We need to start like just respecting the fact that the Astros are a really good team. And I think Altuve scored like 5 runs over the weekend. He had 3 home runs, 2 home runs. I mean, he hit in all the games, and then Correa with the home run yesterday. It must have felt like deja vu all over those again for the Yankees. Could be 17, could have been 19, or I guess not 22 because Correa was gone. But yeah, rough for them.
I mean, I'll say this: I think Yankees fans, and I count a handful of those amongst not the internet trolls, but the Emily Nymans of the world, some other people. They do think the Astros are a good team. They do understand what they're getting when they play that. And I think the booing from the general populace, right, wrong, or indifferent, as much as it might frustrate us as fans and delight Jose Altuve because it gives him his extra super energy spinach, that is, for the Yankees fans, that is a sign of respect. Because there were a number of years where you go into Yankee Stadium and there was no noise because who cares? You're playing the Astros. This is just another series against one of the other 28 franchises we don't care about. When's the next Red Sox series? That's what I care about.
Right. Well, just looking at some schedule stuff again, like I'm going to the Tankathon website. I like it because it's really good for morons like myself who are not necessarily the most what's the word I'm looking for? Data-y. I don't understand it. There's a reason why I went to film school. But these have like pretty pictures and everything. So according, like, just to put some perspective, is they put on the website like your remaining strength of schedule. And right now the cumulative winning percentage for the Astros strength of schedule remaining is 482. The Mariners is 490. That's not a big difference, but when you're talking about a half a game lead, it's a big difference. And they also classified through graphics their easiest remaining opponents and the hardest ones. And according to Tankathon, the Astros this weekend played one of their hardest opponents that's left, and the Mariners played some of the easiest. So, yeah, it's been a whole thing when it comes to how to handle this thing. But I do want to do a real quick shout out to my San Diego Padres, one of the best teams out there putting stuff together and rolling. How about that? I got an assist from a Padres fan. I'm sitting here on. I lost my fob and keys. I don't know. Anyway, but
I mean, I'm glad the Padres have a fan. It's important.
But no, seriously, the Astros really, again, control their own destiny. If we could just get Yordan back, it becomes a real game changer.
Well, I mean, that's a really interesting question because the last thing we heard about Yordan Alvarez is that we should see him mid-August. Well, guess what Friday is?
It's literally the middle of August.
Yeah, and no progress has been made. No news has been reported. I assume because we have a home game today and there will be media availability with everybody, we'll get the big sheet of injury updates. And I really hope that somehow tonight, tomorrow night, Yordan Alvarez is swinging the bat against live pitching, but he hasn't gotten there yet. And I think it's a big ask to see him at this point. If we see him at all, and I'm crawling towards that camp, I don't want to be there, but that's kind of where I am right now. If we see him at all before September 1st, that would be a great wedding anniversary for my wife and I present. To have Yordan Alvarez back in the lineup, and I'm going to tell you that she doesn't care. It's just a present for me. But aren't anniversary presents really just for the wife anyway?
Well, our anniversary for our 25th is September 9th, and I think Jessica would be she'd be excited to have a little Yordan action. Maybe she would. I shouldn't have put it that way when we're talking about a wedding anniversary, though.
Even though you're accurate, I think, unfortunately, the Astros have to start planning for a world where we don't have Yordan Alvarez. And if somehow he does come back, it's a pleasant surprise because there's just been nothing. And I think the frustrating thing is it's not a surgery situation. It is just nothing but his ability to learn to hit with some pain in his hand.
Actual discomfort.
It's just actual discomfort. But there's no treatment for that.
No, there's just nutting it up.
Well, they do have this thing called Advil. I don't know if they've tried that.
I don't know. I mean, don't you think you should be able to like inject him with something and move on? I mean, just like what did Coach Kilmer put in what's his name's knee? We need to do that.
What he didn't do is put that needle anywhere his goddamn knee.
Wendell's leg. You get that knee, or I'll rip off your arms and beat you. That's your Varsity Blues reference for the day. Everybody.
And it's fine because we're as of yesterday we're in football season too. So Varsity Blues season, yeah. Varsity Blues references are fully accurate and
encouraged. And encouraged. You got your tag on today. Christian Walker slander will not be tolerated. Christian Walker's been a very good baseball player for the months of June, July, and so far in August. He has been.
And his overall season, even though he had to overcome a really crappy May and April and June and part of June, he's over a 700 OPS right now.
We lost 3 viewers when I said we're not going to slander Christian Walker anymore.
I understand.
Move on with your day.
It's Astros fans have an issue, and especially what I consider the casual fans of this guy in this position is as bad as the guy in the position was before him. And so Christian Walker did himself no favors getting off to a slow start.
And he said as much. That was the thing, is he was very open about how frustrated he was and how he felt like I need to live up to this contract.
And you add to that and I know they talked a little bit on the broadcast, if you've not had a child before and you're anticipating the birth of your first child, there's a whole world of things going on in your brain. And we can joke about it now. He took too long on paternity leave and we really blah, blah, blah. That's an entirely emotional mindset that you don't understand until you've been in it. And I think the first one's different than the second one. Certainly it was for us. But that had to be wearing on him too. The pressure of coming to a new city with a, large-ish contract. I see people complaining about how much money he makes. 20 some odd $20 million is an average baseball salary these days.
Yeah.
I mean, Christian Walker's signing is not preventing the Astros from doing anything else. Matter of fact,
it's definitely a latter end of the career kind of contract.
Yeah. And it was in answer to not signing Alex Bregman. That's what it was. So you could have signed somebody for $40 million, or you could have signed somebody for 20 some odd million. It worked out in the wash. But since his daughter was born, he's a guy that has over an 800 OPS. He's hitting with power. If you just look, and looking at Baseball Savant a little bit, I understand the Astros lineup is, struggling, but post All-Star break, 871 OPS, 506 slugging, 365 on base average. That's a really good player in 2025.
Yeah.
And that's not a small sample size at this point. We're talking 140, almost 150 plate appearances. I would love to see Yordan back for a number of reasons, but the main reason I'd like to see Yordan back at this point is that it would allow them to shift Christian Walker to batting fifth in the order, because when he's batting fourth in the order, he's slugging 335. when he's batting fifth in the order, he's slugging 539. And I know our good friend Brian Arbor will tell you that lineup construction doesn't really matter, but clearly for some guys, it does.
I don't think he likes me anymore anyway. So I guess your good friend, Brian Arbor, but, no,
there is nothing that Christian Walker is doing on the field right now that is not what we're paying him to do. He is at expectations for me at this point. And it appears that he's only getting better as the season goes on. Now,
well,
obviously,
here's the thing. And part of the frustration is that there is a certain amount of luck involved in baseball. And the Astros have, I think they said like fifth most hits in Major League in the majors this year. They're just not getting them timely, and they're not having balls fall. And I think part of that, I mean, we started seeing some of that yesterday. I mean, literally some of that yesterday, because there were two bloops that should have easily been caught, but they dropped. Maybe that luck is starting to turn. This week, it's another one of those things where I think the Astros should take 2 of 3 from Boston, but it probably will be games 2 and 3. Might not be tonight. I mean, because they've got Crochet and we've got Javier coming back. I think Javier is the key. I think he's going to have a real impact down the stretch. But what do you expect out of him for his first start back? I mean,
I expect a guy who's probably going to be on an 80 pitch limit or somewhere in that neighborhood. My hope for him is that he doesn't walk guys and shows some command of the zone. And that's literally all you can hope for a guy who's been on the shelf for 14 months. He is somehow, and I don't know, I meant to look up this morning, just didn't get around to it. I don't know what procedure he had, or if we're just dealing with a completely best case scenario, but he is back the next season after having Tommy John surgery. We've seen very recent examples with Lance McCullers Jr. and Luis Garcia, where this is a 2 or 3 year injury and recovery. And Christian Javier is not having that situation. So I don't know if he got the brace instead of the Tommy John or some alteration of that, or he's just a quick healer. And I hope that's it. But what he does provide is a guy who is difficult to pick up when you've seen him a lot, and nobody's seen him in 14 months. So for a Red Sox lineup that probably hasn't faced him a lot, including Alex Bregman, who's never faced him in a live hitting competition, he's a guy that deals with deception. He doesn't throw dramatically hard, but you can't pick the ball up off of him. It is what we referred to in 2022 with the Invisiball. It is what got him a 5-year extension to buy out his arbitration years. That's what I'm hoping to see, is signs of that guy. I don't need him all the way back tonight. I think that would be premature to expect that. And I think the Astros scoring a bunch of runs late in that game made the bullpen more available, which is probably going to be necessary over the next couple nights. But if you could get him to the 5th, that's a victory no matter what the score is.
Yeah. And then I think also having now that you've now basically been able to give Hader 2 nights off, because that way you have him in the 9th. And then I know you're not the biggest Bennett Sousa fan, and he certainly didn't earn any respect from you yesterday, did he?
Well, this is we dabble in talking about stats that we kind of barely understand, because you'll notice I'll stick to OPS because I get those numbers.
Yeah, don't like OPS plus. Why do I have to learn a new one? It reminds me of the movie Short Circuit, whenever the guy was working with the military and he kept getting mad because they kept changing what a helicopter was called. Well, it's called a chopper now. Well, why wasn't I notified? That's your Short Circuit reference for today. Johnny 5 is alive.
Johnny 5 is alive. Sousa to me feels, so I'm couching this whole thing, feels like you don't know what you're going to get from him one appearance to the other. I realized that Saturday night or Friday night he had a really great appearance, and I know that yesterday he kind of shit the bed on Saturday. And that's what it feels like to me, is like you get a really good appearance or you get a really bad appearance, but there's not much in between that. And he's our 7th inning guy, apparently. And that, I think, bothers me more than anything, because the Astros probably had an opportunity to make that better through perhaps one more trade during the trade deadline, picking up a guy that could handle the seventh inning a little better. I know they hoped Hector Neris was going to be that guy, and he has proven not to be.
Did we see him at all in the Yankee series?
No, and thank God.
Yeah, just interesting.
And I know there's some part of the fan base that still thinks that Ryan Presley should get picked up somehow. Because vibes. But if Souza's going to be the guy, and I related it to, we all have a reliever that we just don't trust. And I think Bennett Souza might be that guy for me. I know Luke Gregerson was that guy for you.
Oh, fuck that guy. He should be. I don't even want him selling merch anymore. I want him. And I like how you brought up that in our dads, it was Dave Smith. Like no matter what, our dads had an irrational hatred.
Oh, my dad couldn't stand Joe Sambito. Get a haircut.
Yeah, him too. It does look like I'm having a hard time. I was told on Twitter that Colton Gordon was sent down, but I'm guessing he's still on the team, and so I'm guessing what you're going to see tonight is going to be kind of have Javier get you 4 innings maybe, and then maybe Colton Gordon comes in and gets you the bulk of that. And he has pitched again better his last time out than maybe what his numbers indicate.
Well, there has to be a corresponding move for Javier to be activated tonight. And I don't think they've announced that yet, or at least they hadn't by the time I got on Twitter this morning.
DFA Neris.
That's an option. An option might be that you're sending down Jason Alexander, although I don't think that's going to be the case because they still need him to probably start this week. But you can look at the bullpen and pick a guy because a lot of them Caleb Ort might be on the chopping block. Who knows? Some move has to be made. Colton Gordon was warming up in the 9th inning last night in the bullpen, potentially to go in if it hadn't gotten to where it was for Brian King to come in. I don't know if he was just getting his throwing in, but he was with the team at least through the game yesterday. But I think that's also a sign that if he stays on the roster, his days of starting games are probably over. And I think that's probably not the worst thing in the world because he almost profiles right now as more of a bulk kind of guy or a long reliever than he does as a starter.
Yeah.
And Arrighetti should be better than him. Javier should be better than him. Somebody's going to lose those spots in the rotation. He's the natural candidate first up.
I would like to see Bluebow get another crack at something, though. I was very impressed with him.
AJ?
Miami. Yeah.
Okay. My microphone might have went out. I thought
blue balls.
Steve. I thought I heard you call him Steve Blueball.
No. I said I want to give me some blue. I want to give me some blue balls.
Okay. Better. This might be my ears. Yeah. I don't know what the plans are for him. I know the Astros have longer range plans for him. I don't think Colton Gordon is somebody they're counting on being a guy, for 5 years and working out a contract. And Brandon Walter is still somehow going to come back as well. So you got to find a spot for him, but I think he slots very neatly into a bullpen role.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. As we've said, the Astros are going to have a 40-man crunch, and it's going to start rearing its head, I guess, tonight with Javier coming back because thank God, but nobody got hurt this weekend, so you can't move anybody to the IL, and we have nobody that we can – I don't think we have anybody left we can shift to the 60-day.
No. And I did just read the most recent – I did just read the most Jordan recent update. He's still doing coach pitch.
Yeah, I mean that's
practice.
But that's been 2 weeks now. And I'm at a loss. I wish that human beings want explanations for gaps in their information, and we make up stories. That's where conspiracies come from. I just want to know what's going on, and I don't think anybody's keeping a secret from us, but it's just almost mysterious right now. What's going on?
Do you think the Astros front office, how much of it? I suspect, Andy, that there would be a bigger sense of urgency with Jordan if we were a half game up of just being in the playoffs. Do you think that having a relatively secure playoff position of, I think we're 3.5 games up in the wild card if we were tied with them, and then Fangraphs has us as a 90% chance of making the playoffs? Do you think that's part of it? Don't necessarily care about rushing him back to hold on to the division. We really care more about just getting in at this point.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a part of it, but I still think This is still a playoff team to me. I still think it's a team that probably wins the division. I don't think it's the end of the world if they don't, because there's not a whole lot of difference in the world between the third and the fourth seed in the playoffs, the way Major League has it structured. I would like to win the division just because I enjoy winning the division.
Not only that, but you're also only a game and a half out of the second seed, which is weird how this is.
Like I said, everything is still in front of the Astros. There's nothing that they've, really eliminated themselves from. And you've got 3 with the Tigers next week. That's, could go a long way towards determining some of that. Having said all that, I don't know that the Astros are playing the long game with Jordan. Because the language isn't what would make me feel warm and fuzzy about his return. We keep getting things that are 2 or 3 weeks out that he should be here by then, and he's not here by then. And here is just in Florida, or here is just taking live pitching or doing simulated games or whatever he needs to do to get ready. We are going to reach the point, though, that I don't know that no matter how good he is, even at 100% healthy, he's got to have some ramp-up time. And if we've determined that that's going to be at the major league level, that's great. I don't think he can start cold the last week of September as a member of the active roster and have any kind of timing ready by the time the playoffs roll around.
Well, I mean, I see your point. I see your point. I do think, though, just him standing there makes the lineup look longer and deeper than some of the other options. It's still going to at least –
yeah, he's an improvement over Taylor Trammell. I'm not saying that he's not, but to be the Jordan we need to be an impact player on the game, like really be an impact player of the game in the cleanup spot or the 3-hole, wherever we end up putting him, he's got to face live pitching.
I only get the 3-hole like on my birthday. Oh, sorry. My bad.
It's better than the 5-hole. You miss everything. There's a world where he's got to start facing live pitching because the clock's ticking.
Even if it is just at the complex league and it's some of our guys. I mean, I agree, right? Like, I don't necessarily need to see him go down to Sugarland. In fact, I might be frustrated. I feel like if he's ready to go to Sugarland, then he's ready to come.
At this point of the season, yeah. Because, to your point, pretty good odds that we're making the playoffs, and that's not the hunt we're in. We're hunting for basically seeding at this point. So if that's the path,
you do have games against the Rockies and the Braves and the Athletics, which is a different team than when we faced them, and then the Orioles. Like, that's practically minor league pitching anyway. You might as well just have him DH for the games
when he's ready. But that's the problem: is when is he going to be ready? It's just nobody seems to know, and nobody's talking about it. But there's not a surgery involved, and they haven't shut him down. But he's not really progressing, and it's just there's no break.
It poses apparently an interesting
limited inflammation.
It poses an interesting question though about just Jordan's presence on the team, and like I'm not like people that are watching either right now are going to watch and listen to it later because we do actually have a lot of views on the listens on the podcast version of it. Like I'm not going to become Mr. Anti-Jordan guy, but it does beg the question of because of Jordan's the way he profiles with his honestly injury. I mean, I don't want to say injury prone, but he's got bad knees for a man that's 28 years old, right? And we're dealing with this phantom thing where you're having to find places to play. The guy who should be your DH, Jose Altuve, should be your DH. He's a defensive liability literally everywhere he is. I mean, to some degree, Jordan, there is a world where it's kind of a detriment to the way he profiles having him on the team at some point.
Well, you've basically got two players, one at the end of the career and what one who should be in the prime of his career, battling for playing time at the same spot. And unfortunately, one is never healthy. And the hand injuries are not new. This is the hand discomfort, the ability to grip a bat has been a problem for him for a couple of different seasons.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but it's not the hamate bone. He hasn't had that surgery. Apparently, it's not the capsule thing that DeCenzo's been dealing with. Nobody can tell us what it is.
He just needs to take some more capsules.
But literally, if you have chronic injuries, the Astros are going to get to a point where you've got to decide, because that extension is going to run out at some point. Do we continue to invest dollars in this guy when he's not available for more than 100 games a season? And he's not making 100 games this year. There's been a few seasons out of his 4 or 5 or 5 or 6 now that he hasn't been available for 100 games. There's got to be a line where you make that decision, and it's going to be really painful if we get to that point watching him DH for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But it'll finally make up for the Josh Fields trade, I guess. So good for them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. It's frustrating. I really do hope that, I'm going to stay hopeful that we see him by September 1st. You're exactly right, though. Middle of August is in 5 days, so that's not happening. Michael Schwab said to me privately, but he also said, then I heard him say it on a podcast, so I don't mind sharing it. You see what happens when people tell you things? You don't have to run out and tell a bunch of people.
It's accurate.
Yeah, you can just keep things private and trust the confidence. So he said it on a podcast I heard him on after we were talking about it, though. But he's heard internally that really September 1st is the goal at this point. And he told me that a week ago. So whatever that means. But it's just like everything is going to look a lot better when he's in the lineup, even just from a respect perspective from what the other pitcher has to give you.
Without getting into the details of it, you figure out where you're going to bat Correa. You slot Jordan at cleanup probably at this point. Move Christian Walker down a slot to 5th or 6th. And then that's a pretty long lineup, because you take what you're going to get from Yainer on the days he plays, and Carantini basically provides the same thing. At some point, I hope the Astros are going to give Cam Smith a couple days off, because God knows that kid needs it.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought picked up, but I thought that's why you picked up Jesus Sanchez, so that you could rest Smith a little bit. There's a lot more options, a lot more things that the Astros and Joe Espada can do day to day to make this the best lineup that he can put out there if Jordan comes back. And nobody on this show, involved with this show, nobody I know doesn't want Jordan to come back.
Yeah. And nobody's
going to
start saying Jordan sucks.
The depths of Astros Twitter deep enough to find the guy who doesn't want Jordan back. And I found people
online discourse, though. You either have to tell everybody that Jordan sucks, or say that Jordan is the best thing to ever play and everything's fine, because you can't have an honest conversation about it without being pigeonholed into a camp. And so there are some people that might tune into this and think these guys hate Jordan Alvarez. These guys are idiots. No.
I unfortunately had the X app recommend to me some guy that was talking about, didn't understand why we just didn't put Altuve at first. Because the bag is taller than him. That's why.
Yeah, I have a feeling that the defensive run saved for Correa and Pena go down real fast if you move Altuve over to first base. I'd rather John Singleton at first base. And I don't want John Singleton anywhere near first base on the big league club.
It'd be nice to think they learned that lesson. I don't think they have.
I don't think they have either. We did have a little bit to non-Astro stuff to talk about. I'm wearing my Fort Wayne Daisies shirt. The Fort Wayne Daisies were the girls' professional league in that area, the league of their own thing. I'm wearing this as my tangential. Congratulations to Jen Powell for becoming the first female umpire at the major league level. She called balls and strikes yesterday. I didn't see her ump report. I don't know how she did, but I'll be honest. A couple of things I thought were really cool about it. First of all, on the surface, that's badass, right? That's pretty awesome. I thought it was neat, and I felt the same thing watching the Astros react to Old Timers Day with the Yankees, which I think is super cool that they do that. I think other teams should, but watching Arrighetti get autographs and Joe Espada get photos taken with people, that was pretty neat. But watching anytime the pitcher would go off the mound to get his hands checked by Jen Powell on Saturday, I think she was doing the checking. It was kind of neat to see other players kind of walk up and talk to her. I think it's neat when we can see the fact that baseball is still largely a friendly game, and people can be aware that the history of baseball is right with you. It's not like other sports. And I find it really heartwarming to be reminded of those things.
Yeah, and I think that there is certainly the bro culture who has decided this was a DEI move, but that kind of flies in the face of understanding how Major League umpiring works and how you get those gigs. You toil in the minor leagues for years and years, if not decades. You have to get promoted a number of times, and then you have to be a crew chief for a number of years before you're even considered to be a temporary fill-in for a guy's on vacation. It's a big deal.
And she's going right back to the minors. Like she's not.
Yeah. And she was filling in because Major League umpires get to take vacation during the season, which is bizarre to me.
Some of them are taking vacation while they're working the game, though.
Yeah.
So I'd rather this than that.
But, the bro culture who's decided this was DEI, I have a thought driving home. If 50.5% of the U.S. population is female, isn't any job we give to a white guy DEI?
Don't say that too loud. They'll get.
I mean, realistically, shouldn't it be more female? Anyway,
they'll get fussy.
They do, and like women. No, not supposed to say that.
His name is Andy Tom Cheston, everybody. I'll put his email up address. You can send all correspondence to him. The other thing I'm going to be doing today, man, as we get ready to wrap up the show, is I'm done with my Ballpark Nation traveling. I am wearing my Arizona Diamondbacks, their Serpentines hat. I allow myself to get the City Connect hats because I don't feel like I'm betraying, except for I got some Padres stuff because I don't know, I dig the Padres. But I'm going to be listing for the first time ever, publishing my rank of the 18 Major League Baseball cities, stadiums that I've been to. I'll be putting those up on Twitter on both accounts around 1:00 today. But I wanted to sneak peek you, Andy, with some rules about how the rankings work. And then I'm going to give you two of my random numbers. So first of all, we're going to be publishing 4 rankings. One will be the Ballpark Nation show ranking, which basically is a mathematical formula that we came up with 10 categories scored 1 to 10. Those are dispassionate. And that's the only ranking that I'm a part of that Minute Maid or Dyken Park is part of. Then I'm going to rank Jim's favorites 1 through 17. I'm not going to include Dyken Park in mine because no matter how I rank it, there's going to be an accusation of bias.
Sure.
So I'm not going to include that. And then you're going to see ranks from Jessica. She's got 8 on her list. And she's also not going to rank Dyken Park for the same reason, mostly because she doesn't want to have a fight if she puts it last. And then our co-host of Ballpark Nation, the regular show, Alicia Rivera, will be publishing her. So those will be our thing. You'll have a Ballpark Nation ranking, my rankings, Jessica's ranking, and Alicia's ranking. And just to give you a sneak peek, my number 11 ranked ballpark is the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, the Big A. And my number, 14 ranking is where the Chicago White Sox play, whatever they're calling it today. So there's your 2 sneak peeks of my ranking that's going live on at the end of the day today. I'm curious. You also have been to many, many parks. What are some of your favorites? I didn't ask you to do a formal ranking, but what are some of your favorite MLB parks out there?
MLB or MILB?
MLB.
Oh, I don't think you can get away from Yankee Stadium being quite up there. And I will say this, old Yankee Stadium was better than new Yankee Stadium. New Yankee Stadium is a mess, especially in the interior, the concourse, the places that you are as a fan aren't very what I would consider fan friendly.
No.
But
outside of that outfield concourse area that's outside, that's the only part of it that feels like, oh, this is how ballparks feel now.
Having said that, the history is overwhelming, and you do get a sense of what I would call everything that came before you. I would also say Comerica Park in Detroit is an underrated ballpark.
Have not been yet.
It's big. It's pastoral. It plays more to pitchers. So if you like games where pitchers have more of an influence, it's a fun ride in a part of Detroit, really Detroit, that is coming back as a city. and that's fun to see. I would like to go to Baltimore before they decide they need a new ballpark because it's been 30 years, and I'm sure that's coming because baseball, being baseball. I will say my surprising. I like Fenway and Wrigley, and those are the two the arguments because they're the two oldest parks. Fenway is a dump, but Fenway is a charming dump, and they've done everything they can to make Fenway as modern as it can be, knowing that it's never going to be modern.
Right.
And I think a lot of that is Lansdowne Street and the whole environment, the neighborhood around the park, the number of bars you can go to, the fact that, and I'm different than a lot of Aggies in that I don't have issues with LSU fans. They don't bother me because it is what you kind of know what you're getting from them. Boston fans are a lot like that. They will give you shit. They will give you shit, and then they will buy you a beer for taking the shit. The comparison that is Wrigley, and I know I'm going to get on Jess's bad side because she's a grown up as a Cubs fan, being from San Antonio and having the Missions as part of her life,
and not getting to watch the Astros or Rangers on TV because
baseball. Wrigley's a dump without charm. So, and a lot of that's the neighborhood around that because Wrigleyville is just a horrible place to be, full of people that you don't want to be around. And it's not crime. It's not the thing that people accuse Chicago of. It's just all the wealthy, pretentious wannabes hanging around that park, hanging around that neighborhood, living in Wrigleyville, charging you $20,000 to sit on their roof. I mean, just all of it's just gross.
You hit the nail on the head for me. I much prefer, and like I said, the rankings will come out, and I much preferred Fenway. I've got Fenway really high on my list, and Wrigley Field not so much. And so much of it's the same thing. We did have the experience where, and it was actually Jessica, this Red Sox guy, talked a little shit to her, and Jessica fired right back. And then it was like for 8.5 innings, we both complained about the umpiring. I mean, and it wasn't even like we were both yelling when the Red Sox got a bad call. I mean, it was one of those things. There were obnoxious Red Sox fans behind us, so obnoxious, in fact, that other Red Sox fans told them to shut up and bought us beers. Like, it was a different thing. My vibe about Wrigley is, and then when you're talking about the bars just felt more open around Wrigley. Like, you just kind of can flow in and out. With Wrigley, it feels like you're at a ballpark with a bunch of tourists, not actual Cubs fans, because they're all there the same reason you're there, to go see what Wrigley Field is. And then you're right. These bars feel much more pretentious and much more closed off.
Corporate.
It's just the vibe is different.
It is Walmart versus your neighbor, mom and pop shop. That's the issue for me.
Yeah.
And I know our good friend from Chicago is watching us now and probably wants to jump in and tell us how great
I'm actually worried about Jeff watching these rankings. I'm like, I was going to release them already. I'm a little nervous.
It's not a reflection on the Cubs. It is a reflection on that building that they insist on playing in.
It's right. I want to, before we get out of here too, your comments on Yankee Stadium. I couldn't agree more. My big takeaway from Yankee Stadium wasn't that different from Boston fan, as much as they might hate for me to say that, is it was 45,000 people of actual Yankee fans and everything that you would experience. And I wasn't there when the Astros played, so I was really brought into the culture. I was treated with all these friends of ours that we have met on Twitter. Like, it was awesome. But you're exactly right. The ballpark was built at the same time as Citi Field, and Citi Field is light years better. It's not close. And I realized the same reason why the Yankees will never spend like the Yankees used to. They don't have to, because people are going to still go. And I think Yankee fan deserve better with their ballpark, and they deserve better for their baseball team, because they are good, smart baseball fans that are diehard. And
Yankee Stadium, kind of the quote about Saturday Night Live a number of decades ago, Yankee Stadium is a restaurant in a good location. It doesn't have to be good because it has enough foot traffic to keep it alive. That's what it is.
That's a great point. I hope that we're more than just a restaurant in a good location. But I guess that's going to wrap our show up. We are going to replay the beginning for those of you who, because I'm proud of it, Astros fans. But for Andy, I'm Jim. Andy, we'll be back we'll be back on Friday, I think, to preview the weekend series.
Probably going to have to be Thursday because I have to be in Denton on Friday.
All right, we'll be back Thursday.
To put my daughter back in college.
Oh yeah, that's that time of year. I will be with my super sweet Metropolis Meteors jersey at Superman Night in Minute Maid Park tomorrow, Dyken Park tomorrow. Come by and see me. And then next Monday, we'll start talking little college football as well. So for Andy, I'm Jim. This has been Ballpark Nation.
The Yankees are giving me 3 months full pay for doing nothing.
Yeah, I did it for 3 years. What's another few months?
I'm really going to do something with these 3 months.
Like what?
I'm going to read a book from beginning to end in that order.
I've always wanted to do that.
I'm going to play golf.
You mean golf?
Golf. Frisbee golf, Jerry. Golf with a frisbee. This is going to be my time. Time to taste the fruits and let the juices drip down my chin. I proclaim this the Summer of George.
And now we're just awkwardly sitting here because it took time for the stream to go away. Goodbye,
Why are
everybody.
you still here? The
Why-
show's over.
The show's over.
Go home.
Go home. No, but